Today we are going to build the extruder for the Prusa i3 MK2 3D printer conversion, coming up on Zachary's 3D Prints. Hello, this is Zachary from Zachary 3D Prints. Today we are going to continue with the build of the conversion of the CTC i3 MK2 3D printer to a Prusa i3 MK2 3D printer. In both cases it's still a clone of the original Prusa i3, but I want to get as close as possible to the original. If you know my channel, I have a Ender 3, I've got a E3D X1, and I have a CTC Prusa i3 MK2 3D printer. But in this case, I'm going to convert it to a more realistic Prusa i3 MK2 3D printer. So let's start the build and move the camera to the desk. So we take the hot end assembly and we fit it right into the extruder body, just like this, and fit it as tight as possible inside, like this. And we put the hot end just like this. And now you take the extruder cover and you put one nut in here and one in the hole there. Now the next step. So now we are going to the next step, and that is adding the extruder cover onto the extruder assembly. You have 2 M3 screws which you need. One is 18 and the other one is 25. And you also need a Allen key 2.5. We are going to add this on top of it. The 18 is going on that side and the 25mm is going on that side. Something like that. Looking nice. Now we are going to continue with the next step. Now we are going to add the pulley to the motor. In this case I have just one screw that is on there. So looking where the flat side is, it's here. So I put the pulley on it, doesn't go inside, that's no problem. Use a smaller Allen key to unlock it. Now where it should go we see in a later stage. Now we are just tightening it, making sure that it is all okay. So they're done. We are going to the next step. So now we are going to put the extruder to the assembly for the extruder. Of course, this is not a Prusa, this is a clone of a Prusa i3. So my connector is much thicker and is also looking more differently than the motors that Prusa uses. So I still keep the orientation from the cable downwards. So if I'm going to mount it, I need to make sure that it is the right way. So when we are going to do that, just put it like that. It's much easier. So then we take the idler lever. Not too tight. That is looking nice. So now, like you can see, the pulley is not lined up with both holes. So now we are going to loosen it up a little bit, just eyeballing a little bit, something like that. And I have some spare filament, 1.75mm. I will put it in and then see how it is going to look like. Oh, something like this. I'm pretty happy with it, looks okay. So now I can tighten it up, really lock it to the right place. I can leave it in. So now we continue with the next step. So for the next step we need to have some square nuts, just like here or on Yeah, on this side you need to have square ones, and I did use just normal regular nuts. These are the tools which I used during the accidentally recording. To fit it in, I use one big plier and I tried to push it all the way through. There was one point that I couldn't push it through anymore, so I did use something else, and hey, it did work out pretty well. On both sides it's 4.7 millimeters, so it is nicely in the middle. So like I mentioned, this shaft is coming from an idler from the Z-axis from my CTC, and now I'm using this. Now we are going to fit in and then try to make a little turn. I don't know if it is going to work, yes or no. Maybe I can fit it in like this. Yeah, I will do it like just like this with a little bit force. Something like this, and just fits nicely. Can always adapt it a little bit if I need to, something like that. Now it's just nicely in the middle. Look at that. Of course it doesn't close all the way down, but because of the springs that are going to be inside of here, it is going to work pretty nice. So next step. So now, as you can see, I'm using a cutting board with some measurements on it. These are M3x40 Allen screws. So what do we need? We need two M3x40, 4 washers and 2 springs. I don't know which kind of size they are, but I had them in my box with all springs, and these are working pretty nice. Okay, let's install them. First, making the first assembly, washer, spring, second washer, done. Next one. And so the second Allen screw is ready to be installed. Now we are going to place the screws. Well, that's not so difficult. You clamp it, you put the screw in, twist it a few times until the lock nut is going to grab it. And we do that with the second one as well. The more you twist the screw in, the more tension on the filament and on the idle wheel is going to be. So just tighten it a little bit, but not over tight it, something like that. Something like this. Let's continue with the next step in this process. So now it's time to put on the fan, the radial 5015 fan. And also we need 2 M3x20 Allen screws. So we turn it around just like this, and then we add the fan. Make sure you have the right orientation with the outlet on the downside. Then we put it there. Put the 2 Allen screws in, and then we tighten it until it is done. Something like that. Doesn't that look that great? I think so. Let's continue with the, you guessed it, next step. So for this step we are going to put the fan duct onto the fan. Just put it like this so that you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, what am I doing? I don't know. Yeah, something like that. We put in the M3x20 screw. filament broke off, but here it is. It's looking nice. Let's go continue with the next step. In addition to not having the printer probe itself, I'm using just a normal inductive sensor. This one is bigger than the one that you're supposed to need. And for that reason, I snapped off the little part over here to make sure that the probe is well enough installed. If you have the right one, please don't snap that part off. Just unscrew it there. I need to twist it in because not everything is well enough drilled away. Just take your time, don't use any force, and just because I still need to set it up the right way, I'm just using one lock nut, just like that. Where is the little screw? Oh, here it is. And I just do put it on there, just for the fun of it. Something like that. That's looking nice, I guess. So let's continue with the next step. You guessed it right. So the wiring, I have a standard connector here on my fan, and I have also the inductive sensor wire. I'm putting the power cable from the fan, I put it just right underneath here and put it as tight as possible to make sure that there are no other things, just like this. So let's continue with the next step. So for this step we add a 30mm fan that came off the E3D clone. We are going to use it right here, or just here like that, so there's no strain on the cable. And we also use a stepper wire. Make sure, if you have this, make sure that it is all twisted for the most part, something like that. We are pushing it inside of the connector for the motor. Then we are adding this. You can also twist it a little bit more depending on what you want to use. And we take 4 M×18 screws. And that is it. This part is also done. And look how nice it looks like. So, and this is the result. The extruder, the direct drive extruder for the conversion to a Prusa I3 MK2 clone. Now we are going to take the printer and install it there as well. So this is my assembly so far. Don't get too used to this frame, because this frame I'm going to exchange for a aluminium version, but that I will leave for another video. So I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to show you the back side, because there we are going to add the screws. This is the little monkey face, as you can see, or little Indian chief face. I don't know how you would call it, but I think it looks nice. If you see it, you know exactly what I mean. For this particular part, you need 3 different kind of screws. This is M3x40, M3x30, and M3x18. The M40, the 40mm, is going on the top. The 30, the left eye, and the 18 is going on the right side. Something like this. Okay, let's take the extruder and mount it onto the assembly. So we take the extruder assembly and just put it on the heat bed, because I have a pie sheet underneath it. I just covered it up with some cloth. So wire management. The wires from the hot end and the thermistor is going underneath. Then the stepper motor and the first fan cable is going on the left side, underneath the belt over the smooth rod. Then the inductive sensor cable is going on the right side, with the 50-15 fan on the right side, just like this. So now we are going to put it in. Make sure that all cables are routed the right way. Something like that. We take the 40mm screw and we put it in there. Take the Allen key and we screw it all in. When you are installing the 40mm screw on the top, make sure that when you are doing that, you keep in mind that the screw hole that is in the stepper motor is shared with the screw on the stepper itself. So keep that in mind. When you're twisting it, don't push it too far. This one is 3mm and it doesn't fit. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to use some thinner material, and I'm not going to say what it is, but you will guess it anyways. So I'm going to use it as cable management. So we have a hole just underneath the nose of Mr. the Indian, and we are going to put it right in there. And he has one very tall mustache, something like that. So we take one long zip tie. This one is 150mm. So I'm putting, where's my filament? Oh, where's the mustache? Oh, let's go get. Come on, just stick with it. Stick with the plane. Put it in there. Then I'm going to put the cables here, and I make sure that my zip tie is over it. Something like that. Something like that. Also make sure that you have the cable orientation or the zip tie orientation the right way. And then we are adding the other cables. So now we are going to push the zip tie up. I hope you can see it on the camera what I'm doing. Something like that. And of course my filament just blew out again. Oh my gosh. Doesn't like me at all. It hates me or something. Something like that. Now we are going to shove the zip tie in. So we take another zip tie to zip tie the cables that are on top. I don't see that the cables for the hot end are also going to be needed in the same bundle. They are going to add it a little bit later. So one zip tie, something like that. So, and here you have it. The extruder is installed on the carriage from the ZX. The cable management I'm going to do in another video because there are some connectors or connections that I need to make before I can continue with the rest of the assembly. Well, talking about the assembly, I'm going to exchange the Z frame for sneak peek for an aluminium 6mm frame that I will leave for another video. There are some great things coming up for this Prusa i3 MK2 conversion. So if you're not subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. Well, to wrap up this video, it is looking amazing and it is a cool project to do. And I like the color combination. Well, that being said, thanks for watching. Please like this video, subscribe to Zachary 3D Prints, and I will see you next time. And hey, let's make some fun with 3D printing. Zachary 3D Prints. Bye bye.